Hello and welcome to Back Paddock. Today we are going to look at creating a sugarcane recommendation from the Soilmate system. So I've got the Soilmate program open here. I'm going to go to Lab Results and I'm going to find the sample that I'm after and click on the Generate Recommendation for Barcode icon to the right hand side. That's going to start the wizard for me. And so now I want to use this first page here to give the recommendation a name. So I'm just going to call it sugarcane with the date and some initials, and you want to check the information on this page. So if you did want to adjust the soil texture, you can do that here. Now the soil texture, if it's been tested by the lab, will be pre-entered there. If you don't believe it's representative of the paddock block or field, you can adjust it and click on this override the texture with the texture above option. I'm going to click on next here. So there are two sugarcane evaluation tables for soil. I've got the all districts except Herbert and Wet Tropics selected. If I click on select here, there's also the other one, which is the Herbert and Wet Tropics. So I'm going to leave it as the all districts except, click on OK, and then click on next. So this is when we start to enter some sugarcane parameters. So we just work from top to bottom. So my district here is the Burdekin. I can select a different one from the list. My yield potential is 150 and my average block yield I'm just going to enter as 150. You can see here that you've got the option to select the crop year here. So I've got plant in year 1 and then I've got my ratoons starting from there. So I'm going to go ratoon 1, 2, 3, 4. And the adjusted yield potential in here. So you can leave these as is from the defaults and from the program calculations or adjust as required. If you've entered a product or added a product to this block, then you can select that here. So I'm going to say I've added a meal mud product at less than 100 application rate. Down here under fallow end credits, we can see plant type. So I'm planting after bare fallow and grass, or they might have been a horticulture or a legume rotation that you can select from. And my irrigation, I've got selected as no. If you select yes, then you add these options here. Now you can associate other paddocks or blocks for this recommendation. So if, for example, I wanted to also create this recommendation for another block, I can choose it from this list, move it over to this side, and that will generate another recommendation for this paddock from the same soil sample. Once you're happy with this information, click on Finish. Then the program is going to work through and compare your results with the 6 Easy Steps information and work out what we need to do. So I'm going to click back to this evaluation tab first, and I'm going to expand this a little bit. So we can see that in my plant here, it's suggesting that I add 120 of N, 20 of P, 100 of K, 10S, some calcium, some magnesium, etc. So you can see just by looking that my sample results for a lot of these are low. So the red bar here when I hover tells me that that result's low. I've got some marginal and I have some pale blue sufficient results. So you can use this information and you can then have a look at the system comments for any of those results. So if I click on P. Caldwell, for example, and click on comments off to the right-hand side here, you've got these comments here that you can copy from the top to the bottom. Now, this is where it depends on how much information you would like to include on your report and what your grower might be interested in. So if I just type phosphorus down the bottom and then Control V to paste and click on OK, that's going to add those phosphorus comments down the bottom. If I click on the sugarcane evaluation model here, that's going to take me back to those parameters that we previously entered. So if you did make a mistake and needed to adjust any of those yield potentials or any of the, fallow end credits or historical information, you could adjust that here and click on calculate. You can also use the output summary section here to work out exactly what it's going to do as an overview. So you can see here that my optimized N rate is going to be 120 for my plant, 160 for my ratoons, my Ps, 20 for my plant, and 15 for my ratoons, etc. So click on calculate and then click on close if you've made any changes. Excellent. Now in sugarcane, you're not likely to make too many adjustments, but if you did need to make an adjustment to the recommended rate in this rates column here, then what you could do is click on the cell, click on the dot, 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 and then change the adjusted rate here. Now, given how prescriptive the 6 easy steps process is, as I said, that's unlikely. But for things like lime rates, or when you've got something that's, an odd number like 1467 lime that you're unlikely to add, then you might change that to 1400, for example. Now, when it does come to lime and gypsum, you can use our soil amendments model on the right-hand side here to use the program to calculate any changes. So if we look at this here, we've got a depth from 0 to 20. So we're looking at incorporating a pH change to 20 centimeters. Our target is currently 6.5 and our result is 5.2. If I click on calculate and then click LimeMate here, that's going to show me my 3257 kilos a hectare that I had previously in that now yellow cell. If I wanted to change that to a 6.2 pH target and click on calculate and go to LimeMate, my lime requirement drops to just over 2,500 kilos a hectare. So just change that as you need to. Click calculate, click close, and then that figure will change according to your requirements. When you're happy with everything on this page, which includes the comments from the system that you might like to add, and the required rates here, you're ready to move on to the recommendation tab. Once you're on this, it is a matter of adding products to meet your requirements. So if you know exactly what you're after, you can choose the add option off to the right here, and you can select your fertilizer. So I'm just going to click on something a little bit random. And I'm going to select an application comment down here and a timing comment. Oops. Okay, so you can also enter a rate down the bottom here. So I'm just going to enter a default rate and click on OK because I want to see how that calculates out. So with my application here, I've added 200 of this MOP and it's given me exactly 100 of my required 100 potassium. If it didn't quite match what you needed, you could just click in that cell there, type over, hit enter, and it would recalculate. So you just continue to add products until you've met your actuals requirements over here based on your required in this left-hand side. Now with the sugarcane models, if we look down the bottom here, we're working in a plant stage at the moment. If I click on Ratoon 1, you'll have different information here. So now your target N rate becomes 160 and you'll be adding products to suit that requirement. So let me just add in a product here as an example. Now you can see I do need to do some customization work with my comments. I'm going to leave that as 200 and just click OK. So you can see here I've added a tiny little bit of nitrogen to meet my 160 requirement. Now obviously you'll be using your local knowledge to make these product recommendations make a lot more sense. Your other option down here is to copy Ratoon 1 Rex to the second, third and fourth Ratoons. So if I click on this button, it gives me this prompt, copy the products from first to second, third and fourth Ratoons, and then yes. So now if I use my little drop down option here to go through to my other Ratoons, the products that I've added in my first Ratoon will be automatically copied across. So you don't have to re-enter the same information multiple times. Once you're happy with all of your product selections for your plant and all of your Ratoon crop stages, you can go to the Details and Reports tab along the top. And just wait a second because in this little blue ribbon toolbar here, we'll have some report options come up in a second. Okay, so we can see them here. So the report type that we've got selected at the moment is the interpreted report type. Another option is the sugarcane report type. So if we look at the interpreted and preview, and you can change the name here or just click OK. This might be something that you could produce before creating the full recommendation. So you might jump in and quickly produce this to send to your grower before looking at all of the information, or even just for your own reference. So what this gives you is all of your sample results, the sufficiency level, its range, so if it's low, moderate, marginal, satisfactory, and all of the associated system comments for that information. So I'll close window out of this one now, and we're going to look at the sugarcane recommendation. Now, this is the one that we've been updating along the way. I'm going to include all of the information with page breaks, just so we can see how it's laid out. And I'm going to click on Preview on the left. And wait for that to generate. Okay, so the first page here is your grower details. So it's got grower name, coordinates, sample name, the crop class, district, etc. Everything else that you need to know for this sample, mill byproduct application rates. The second page, if I click on this green arrow at the top here, is our nutrient credits and our recommended nutrient rates. So these would be our System 6 Easy Steps recommendations. The next page is your actual sample results in that status table. So the sufficiency range off to the right here is from the evaluation table. So we had the sugarcane all districts. And then we've got our result on the left and those same colors we've been looking at throughout the program. The next page is our product recommendation summary. So you can see here I only entered one product in plant and one in Ratoon 1, which was copied through to Ratoon 2, 3, and 4. But this table would be a lot larger depending on what you've entered. So our products and rates and application information would be here in a compliant format. And then you've also got your total nutrient summary report, once again in a compliant format for your requirements. The last page here would be a product recommendation record sheet. So you could give this to your grower, or this is just included as an option in case they did want to record some information manually against your recommendation. So if I wanted to save this now, if I was ready to save this from the system, I could email it to myself by clicking on this email option and just typing in your email address, changing the subject or just leaving it as is, and hitting send. So that will email you a copy as a PDF. And your other option is to use this print icon here. And this will allow you to either save as a PDF or print. So we just leave it as this 2x universal printer. Click on print. And this next page here is when we select how we save this. So in the destination, I've got save as PDF at the moment, or I do have a printer available. If I leave it as save as PDF and click save, it allows me to select a location on my computer, give it a name, click on save, and that will save as a PDF on my computer. So if I just close window on this one now, if you did decide that you didn't want all of these components, you can untick any of the parts that you didn't want, remove any of the page breaks that you don't think are applicable, and then preview again to give you the report type that you're after. If we save and close on this one now, that will take us back to our main lab results page, and you will have completed your first sugarcane recommendation. Thanks for joining me.